So, how much game dev can I get done in one day? That's a great question. So today I answered that question. I started the day going for a run. I think that's a great way to start the day, kind of get the mind moving, and then I sat down and locked in. I'm actually going to show you guys something. I use this app called Forest to keep track of. I'm in a focus session right now, but to keep track of like how many hours how many hours I've focused today. Today I've focused about 10 and a half hours, almost 11 hours, once that one will be finished. So that's a long amount of time to do anything in a row, and especially to work on game development and stare at a screen and listen to music. But enough talking about that. Let's see what have I actually done today. So first of all, you'll see this, and I'll show you what it looks like in game. So I won't fully go into what this currency will actually do because I think that's going to be really, really cool to show you guys in a future devlog when it's actually implemented. But there's a new mineral, and this mineral is not obtained the way other minerals are obtained. This mineral is obtained by entering through the exchange market. So there's this little guy here. So you can see he's like a little dwarf and he's got some money behind him, or a little spelunker or something. He's got a spelunker's hat. And there's this little symbol for gold here. And then there's some stuff on the roof. And so if we click this and open it up, we can see this screen. So there's a lot going on right away. So first of all, you've got, and I'm just going to move myself. I might make myself a little smaller. But first of all, you've got, so 100 amethyst gets you 6 gold. And you can see that this rate actually fluctuates. So today it's 6. Yesterday it was like 8 or something. So just this scale is not working for some reason. But you know, it was working before. I'm not sure why it's not working now. I think it was working when it was like just a scene by itself, but now it's in game. It's having some difficulties. But you can see that sort of it tends to fluctuate, not very much over time, but I think I just got unlucky and got a whole bunch of flat days in a row. And then we can see on average in the past 10 days, the 10-day average is 2 gold, which is kind of shit. So 100 amethyst gets you 2 gold. We can see that the all-time max is 13 and the lowest is 1, which is easy to believe looking at this. And then the theory is that I can click this button and it will exchange 100 amethyst for 6 gold. Now I need to make this arrow a little shorter. I'm also thinking of adding it, and turning it into a button so that you can actually toggle it to go from gold, mineral to gold or gold to mineral. And then you can see we can also actually increase the amount here. So we can do a larger amount at once. And you can see I actually added, in Godot you can like add disabled buttons and like customize the way they look. So I actually added a custom image here, and this took like an hour to draw. I don't know if that was a great use of time, but I think it's pretty funny. And I think, so you can see that there's other minerals as well. So if I make this 100, this fluctuates a lot more. It definitely looks a lot more interesting when it fluctuates because you can see the trends. And the way it's designed is that it's not like a random number generated every day. It's actually trends over time. So I think I can define it. Actually, I'll show you guys that in more detail. But yeah, so this is what that looks like. And I can increase this, and then I made this emoji. But yeah, so the way it actually works. And sorry for the background noise if there is any, but you can see I can come into here and go into the exchange. So this is the actual, obviously, scene that it's all held in. So we've got, there's quite a lot of shit going on. So, and I'll explain it in sort of kind of top level detail, but it is really interesting how it all works. So first, obviously, we've got this actual back panel. We've got the basic stuff like the graph itself. These numbers. So these numbers were really interesting. You can see that they're very narrow. So I thought like I really didn't have much space to work with. So, and a lot of the fonts I was looking at kind of used way more space than I wanted. So I actually ended up finding this really, really cool font editor and creating a custom font. It was so easy to do. Like you can literally just come in here and select each number and draw something out for it. And so I was really, really happy with this because it rendered perfectly. I was able to create my own font. I even went ahead and created a couple of like letters, but I kind of I ran out of like some of the letters were really hard to do, and I don't really know why. I don't know why I did this. This was just kind of a waste of time. But these numbers were really cool, and obviously they generate in game. I'm able to just type in, like I could type in 12,084, and then you can see it in game there. It's not like insanely legible like it does, especially the 8 and the 0, but I think it does look really cool, and it's very unique, which is great. So there's obviously that. So then at the start of, I've got a function in here that actually generates this graph. So I won't bore you with all of the details, but in short, it pretty much kind of gets the in the last 10 days, it gets the lowest value and the highest value and adjusts this y-axis based on those. And then it just plots the points going along from left to right based on obviously where they are. So you can see in here, the points are plotted, and they're not actually plotted. I don't think they're plotted correctly. This looks like it's a bit better. I'm not sure why the amethyst is looking funky, but that should be at 11. It looks like it's at probably about 11, I would say. And then I can just draw a line between each point and make it red or green based on if it goes up or goes down. I'm also thinking of just turning this into a yellow or an orange line just to indicate that it's staying flat, rather than, because this kind of looks like it's going up when in reality it's just staying flat at 1. So that's how I plot the points. And then there's also the matter of doing all this other stuff. So I've been really, really getting into like actually using Godot's features rather than just like hard coding everything. So you can see this little script icon pretty much means that I've created a custom script for this object. So if I go into, for example, I don't know, something like, okay, sure. If I go into mission, you can see that I've got one for this day recap, I've got one for this boundary, I've got one for this asteroid spawner, I've got one for this mineral spawner. It's not very centralized. So this can be a good thing and a bad thing. Obviously, it makes sense to kind of keep compartmentalize logic in one place, but you also don't want to have one class that's responsible for a whole bunch of things. But you can see in here, I've got the only other script I've got here is just this basic script that closes. That's just a close button. So I've pretty much got no other scripts. And the thing is, though, is that this is all relatively self-contained, the logic. And the way I'm able to do that is I'm able to connect these buttons to this without actually creating connecting functions. So there's no function that says when this button is clicked. There's no function that does that. The way it works is that I've set up this button so when it clicks, it calls the function to increase the amount. And it actually passes in the value that I want to increase the amount to. So it's really cool. I'm able to like connect a button to a function that already exists and then just pass in a parameter. Hopefully that kind of made sense. I'm not sure how familiar you'd be with programming. But that's how all of this line generation works. And then I'm able to create, I change the colors. You can see I change the colors to reflect the mineral. I obviously regenerate this each time, and I change this down here. And this is also generated. So if I did have enough topaz and this wasn't pointing and laughing at me, I would actually see the topaz icon pointing down into this gold icon. Yeah, so in terms of like what I actually want to change about this, so it's still not, as you can tell, fully functional. This exchange button doesn't actually do anything yet. This is looking a little off. And then I want to make this a bit shorter just so everything can kind of fit on the screen a bit better. But that's, I'd say mainly it for like the content, but also thinking about how this is actually going to work into the game. And I've kind of run into a bit of an issue. So you can see that at the moment, this home screen, this looks fine. Like there's not too much going on. There's not nothing. It's kind of enough visual interest to see, what you need to see without it being too cluttered. However, I've kind of run into the realization that if I open up here, here, because this is the home screen with everything in it once I finished implementing these features. So you can see I've got this new guy over here, which I was just talking about, and this new thing down here, which I'll talk about in a future video. But it's starting to get really busy. And so I've been thinking of how we can actually, or how I can segment the content such that there's not just one screen with everything. Because I thought at the start that that would be kind of cool, but now I'm realizing that there's just not enough space to do that without it looking really cluttered. So I've got two options in my head, or three. I mean, three is the first option is just to leave it how it is, which I am going to do for a while because this is not the biggest priority. But I was thinking of two kind of ways that I can introduce new content. So the first way is that as time progresses and as you unlock new things, what will happen is that an arrow will appear just here, and it'll look something, look like this, just like a very basic arrow, and you can click it, and what will happen once you click it is that the background will sort of rotate. So this will spin out of view, and something else will spin into view, which will be an alternate biome or something like that. And then new sort of maybe thematic content will be available there. So for example, and I might have to like change some of this, but for example, it could, once you get to a certain distance or unlock a new mineral or something, you unlock like a crystal mineral, and so you flip over and there's a new biome, and it's like a snow biome, and it's, you can use that crystal mineral for something, and it looks kind of like ice, so it fits in thematically. So I think that's cool, that works. It adds a limitation such that I can only really have like 4 alternate pieces of content, but I'm not too fussed with that. I think in terms of like, I could only rotate the world 4 times, because obviously a circle, that's just kind of how it would work. So I'm sort of on the fence about that. The second option is that when you reach a certain point, you land at a new planet, and then there's content available there, and then if you want to go back to your first planet, you can, or you can take off and continue going up. So this, I think, is really cool. Like, it sounds cool, and I did a vote in the Discord. Join the Discord, by the way, if you're interested in keeping up to date and joining in on polls like this. But I did a poll in this Discord, and the second option, like jumping from planet to planet, I think people kind of like that idea a lot more. The only issue with that is that there's upgrades like this here, which kind of you always want to have access to, or even the scientists, like with Olivine, you kind of always want to have access to them. So it might be annoying to jump from planet to planet when you have to keep coming back to the first planet. And if you imagine, if we've got, a planet here and a planet here and a planet here, and this is where like the garage and everything is, and you're up here, you're going to have to jump down there and then down there, which is going to be annoying. So I might have to add like fast travel or something like that, which would kind of defeat the point. But yeah, that's kind of the plans for the future. As I mentioned before, I won't yet touch on what the plans are with this, but I can give you a little spoiler. This is something I've drawn up for it, which I think I would have shown you last video. But yeah, that's it for today. So an absolutely massive day. This is kind of, I think for anyone watching who's interested, this is what you can get done in a day, and I'll just show you now. So yeah, I've focused for, hopefully you can read that, 10 hours and 43 minutes today. So yeah, big day. But that's going to be it for today. I'm also thinking, if you have gotten to the end of the video, I'm thinking I might start a new series where I talk about what I want to do in the day before I go and do it, just so I can compare and contrast. I'm not sure how interesting that would be, especially considering it's just like kind of 2 versions of the same thing. Yeah, just keep that in mind. If you see it on your home screen, feel free to check it out. But yeah, that's it for today. Please go and play the demo, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, whatever. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.